Hello and welcome to the Experience Podcast. My name is Neil, and with me today is a person, a being, a spiritual entity. Also happens to be my brother in this physical plane. Welcome, Dennis, and introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you. My name is Dennis, and I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Today we're going to be talking about having a clean mind and a clean environment and the effect that it has upon us, creating and manifesting the things that we so choose. Something that I just recently recognized in my own life was I had some clutter going on. Just for example, my room was a little bit cluttery. My car wasn't clean on the inside. And I started noticing this pattern of it was starting to take up space in my mind to where if I didn't take care of those things, then it just kept on. It was as if it was creating more and more clutter and things that things that were taking up space in my mind, that had they been clean, had they been taken care of, those things would not have even been in my consciousness to the point where I would now be able to manifest and create better and bigger things.
How did you notice that these things were starting to take up some room in your mind?
Just the fact that, I had not taken care of these, 3-4 weeks went by, and as time went by, it just became more apparent, and it got to the point where I didn't get to that point, but it was starting to get to the point where it kind of made me freeze up and not being able to do the things that were very important as far as moving my life forward. There was these little chores and these little errands that were popping up on, maybe 10 of them. Whereas in the past, if you had 3 of them, or if I had 3 little chores or whatever, now I had that extra time to dedicate to, for example, the podcast or physical health or go running a mile, meditating, things that I can do to advance my well-being and elevate Dennis to the next level. Whereas these little chores and this clutter and uncleanliness was hindering me from taking the time to dedicate towards manifesting and empowering myself to the existence that I wanted to create.
So, with that, what was a first initial action step that you then utilized to begin to clear some of this, maybe not even in the external? What was a first action step that you took to begin to clear these things from your mental space?
So the first thing was a decision. I mean, obviously the first thing was the awareness of the fact that it was a lot of just scattered brainness, of not being able to narrow my focus on one thing and stay focused on it. Because what I'm starting to become aware of is, if I take care of the small things as they come up, going and doing the things that create the most results are a lot easier if those small things are taken care of as they appear. And also what it does is, when you take care of the clutter and the uncleanliness and so forth, for example, I'll hop in my car, go somewhere, go to the grocery store, whatever, And I'll be like, okay, my dash is, it's got the little fuzzies on it. And if this goes on for 3 weeks, it's like in my brain, I'm starting to think, okay, this is really starting to like really fucking annoy me, right? And I'm letting it slide. So it's even taking up more space. So what happens is, I'm using the car as an example. So I clean my dashboard, I sweep. Now I'm starting to feel, now I get into my car and I'm driving it. And I feel damn good driving my car, right? Because it's allowed me to, the uncleanliness and the clutter after I got rid of it. Bob Proctor actually talks about this. He calls it the law of vacuum. When you take something, the dirt, and you remove it, now you have room to put something clean and to put something beautiful there. And it's the same way with our mind. When we take the broom up there and we clear all the cobwebs off of our mind, we can now put beautiful things into our mind, beautiful music, reading,
Is it possible to put beautiful things into your mind without cleaning first?
absolutely. There is, but there's not much space and you may not retain the beautiful things as much.
And what are contributing factors for that?
I like the example of this cup of water right here. So if this cup of water is full with cluttered thoughts, disorganized thoughts, war, grief, sadness, depression, suicide, all that, I guess I just realized this as I'm talking, but the more that we put beautiful things in to this cup, it's gonna start overflowing. So the more beautiful things that you put in, eventually this water is gonna be all beautiful water. Does that answer your question?
It does in part. So what would happen if you had that full cup? And then what would happen if you would continue to put negative and non-beneficial things into the cup? Would that also overflow?
Absolutely. And absolutely. And there's been points in my life where the input that was going into the cup of water was too much negativity, and it got to the point where Dennis wanted to go boom, boom. And then I was like, whoa, I better change the fucking input, or I'm going to be output and not in a good output. So, but, so absolutely. And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling sad, if you're, feeling like life ain't going the way that you should, I feel like it's very important to look around at your environment and to see what is making us feel that way. What's making me feel sad? What's making me feel depressed and so forth. So just start pouring in good water,
Growing up, my father really ingrained into me the concept of, like, when you use a hammer, that hammer goes on the exact same hook to where you got it from. And when you use a tool, when you use a screwdriver, you can use it and then you put that screwdriver back where you got it from. And this was super annoying to me, because like I love to use tools and I love to use a hammer, and then I'll use the hammer and then I'll leave the hammer where I used it, because hey, I may need it there next time. But then when you go to need it next time and you go to where it's normally stored, it's not there because it's where you left it. And this was ingrained into me from a very early age, and I'm super grateful for my father for that, about the organization and meticulous placement of every single thing that you pick up. Because when you know where things are, they don't require any space in your mind. Because they have a set spot, you forget about them and you do your things. And then when you want that hammer, now you access the file cabinet in your brain and it says hammer file. You pull it out and that hammer file is in this spot, and you can just go right there, get the hammer, and you've got it. And then you can go to the next thing. Well, with that, I've noticed now, being a steward of a property myself, it has, like, for me personally, that level of organization has not exactly come with me to this current place. And there's times when I want a tool or I need something to fix something or to use something to do a project or so forth. And it's not always in the exact same spot. Well, when that happens, I'm now putting time and energy into finding and getting that tool to, whereas if I would know exactly where it was at, I could spend that time and energy on the project and get it done in a more efficient and complete manner. And like, that's really, really, like, I see it in my own life, like the cleaner that I can keep my immediate environment, the cleaner it is up here. And the more focus I can put into the things that matter, and which such as physical, mental, and spiritual health, and of myself and of other beings. And so I find that the cleanliness, I really, really feel like that is a contributing factor to success and to failure. And it contributes to failure when you're not clean, because now your mind is cluttered. And it contributes to success because when you have this clean environment, you have a clean mind and you can focus on the things that you want to accomplish.
That's that's very, very well said. Very well said. That's very, very good. And we were gonna go briefly switching or changing the flow a little bit of the conversation. So we're gonna do an exercise, 7 questions deep exercise. And we invite you, if you're watching this video right now, we invite you to go along with this exercise. I've never done it myself, so I'm just as new as you are to it. Neil, you've done it before, if I'm correct? One time. So
I'm very new.
Okay. So what is the question that you want me to, you had said that you wanted me to ask you the question first. What is that question?
So I want to first present the actual idea of this exercise. Okay. And the idea is that you ask these 7 questions to, you ask them, have someone ask them to you, and then vice versa, you ask them 7 questions. And the idea is to, initially you'll begin to answer from your head, and you'll just say heady, thought out answers. But by the time you get to about the 6th, 7th question, the idea is to move from your head into your heart, and progressively going deeper and deeper with each question to eventually come to a place to find the core reason of why you do anything. Why are you sitting where you're sitting right now? Why are you breathing right now? Why did you get out of bed today? And the idea of these seven questions is to dive into that, to dive into the core of your being and get into your heart and really define what the purpose is of why you're doing what you're doing and why you're being the way you're being now.
So what, why are you doing what you're doing, Neil?
I'm doing what I'm doing right now to express myself.
And why do you feel the need to express yourself?
I feel the need to express myself.
Or why do you express yourself?
Why do I express myself? Because I have a feeling that, and I've seen this with other people and heard this from gurus and teachers, that when you suppress yourself, you become more depressed. So I express myself to free myself.
Why free yourself?
Because I'm living in a completely fake world, a world of illusion. And the reality is I'm already free, but my external environment does not match my internal condition yet. That is why I free myself, so that my external matches my internal natural free condition.
And why is matching the internal and the external so important to Neil?
Because it creates coherence, and coherence is when what you speak is what you are, and what you are is what you speak, and it's a direct reflection of the inner and the outer.
Why is it important to match the inner and the outer?
It's important. I feel like it's important to match the inner and the outer. Because when it's mismatched, you do not know who you are. And when it's in direct coherence, you know who you are because your environment reflects that which you are.
So why does Neil want to match the, I think this may have been similar to the last question, the inner and the outer? You said you know who you are. Why is it important that you know who you are?
Because I feel like we come to this plane of inertia, the planet of Earth, to remember who we are. And I feel like that's literally the reason we're here. So that's why that's important to me.
Thanks for sharing. That's 7 questions.
I believe we've actually got one more. That might be 7, but let's go one more.
Okay. So you said that you feel that that is our purpose, is remembering who we are. Why is it important to remember who we are? You said that that's our life
Right,
purpose. Why is
right.
it important that we figure out what our life purpose is? Or why is our life purpose important?
Right. And so, because it's important because when we remember the reason for remembering who we are is because there's going to be a time in our lives, and this could be millions of years in the future, or it could be hundreds, it could be 50 years. I do not know the time reference for this, but there's going to be a time in our future where we're going to be merging with the one creator. And I feel it's important to learn our life purpose or to learn our path because it's natural that we gravitate and remember and merge with the creator.
So, one more question. Is there a right or a wrong path?
All paths are completely valid is the word. Every single path is valid because every single path is of the one infinite creator. So, Dennis Miller, how do you feel right now?
I'm pretty relaxed and pretty content.
And why are you sitting there right now?
Well, because I enjoy talking, and it makes me happy every time I talk and I express what I want to say. I get a source of inspiration.
What is your reason for searching out a source of inspiration?
Well, when I feel inspired, it's as if, so when we started doing this podcast, it was like a little match in a matchbox. I mean, it created a little spark. So that inspiration is, I feel inspiration is one of those things where the more that you do, the more that I do something that creates a spark, it's like putting coals onto the fire of inspiration. And it feels good. It makes me feel more alive every time I do more of it.
Why do you want to feel more alive?
Because I love life and I love living. And I know that anybody that's listening on here probably does too. And if you don't, you know what to do now. You get a little box and you strike that box and you figure out what lights your little flame. And then once you know what lights your flame, you fucking put coal, you put anything that burns, you just, not anything that burns, but you build that fire up within you. Because you become more alive.
And why does Dennis want to feel more alive?
Because I feel like the more that I feel alive, the more I'm on my path of purpose, really. Because I feel like that's what I'm here to experience, is to be alive to the fullest potential that Dennis is capable of.
So, why do you have a life purpose?
why I have a life purpose. I don't know if that's the right question, or I don't know if I am in a position to answer whether or not I have a life purpose or not. But I do feel that I wasn't just dropped onto the planet and that's it. Like, I do feel as if there is some kind of a experience or experiences, or there's something definitely bigger than just being here. That's why I feel like I have a life purpose.
And why is there something more than just being here?
Why is there something more than just being here? I mean, go out and look around. I mean, we're here, but we're also everywhere. I guess I should go back and think about how you worded that question. Why?
Like you have your reason for having a life purpose. So then what's your reason for a life purpose? And then why do you feel like there's more than just being here?
And when you say just being here, you mean like just existing?
Being on this earth plane. Why is there more than being on this earth plane?
I feel like there's definitely more to just being here. There's definitely some form of higher source, higher being. It's almost as if there's subtle guidance, like, if you're aware of it, you'll see and you'll feel being guided or directed or pulled in certain directions that all lead to there being more of an existence than just being here. There's individual experiences, but yet I think the end goal is to experience the individual experiences, but at the end of it all, we become one with what is,
And then
one with everything.
And then that could be called a beginning.
It could be the beginning of a whole new existence.
So that's 7 questions.
And I really feel like when it all comes down to it, it's that at the end of it all, it's we reconnect with all that is, and I think that's beautiful. So with that, Have a blessed day. Stay creating, and love, life, and peace to you all.